Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Monday afternoon, First Alert meteorologist Diane joining you on this beautiful day. We are going to find that we have plenty of sunshine outside and a great way to get our brand new work week and school week started. A little bit of energy for us as we get off of the weekend and then into this work week. So we are going to find outside that we do have plenty of sunshine here in Birch Run. Beautiful blue skies that are here. We are hoping to kind of keep that, of course, as we go through the next couple of days, but of course that can only last for so long in our forecast. So we will be keeping an eye to those conditions and of course kind of watching to see here how those are going to shape up. So we are going to be looking at that forecast. We're going to be seeing that we do have great weather here for at least the start of the week, and then we will find that we have still some rainfall to first alert you to. Here's another live look on our camera here in Southern Bay County. So this is right along US 10. I also like this camera because we can see some of the clouds that are there. So it's just kind of a nice, or not clouds, but the leaves. Sorry, that's what I wanted to talk about, the cloud cover. Sadly today though, a little bit of a distraction here. It looks like our Facebook isn't working. So for folks who want to join us, you'll have to join us on YouTube or at WNAM.com. And then of course for replay, that'll just be on YouTube. So a little bit of a bummer there, but hopefully we can get that fixed up here. But we just want to hang out, talk about the weather here at 2 o'clock. We are going to find that our temperatures, those are currently sitting into the lower 50s. We have 51 for Gladwin and Standish and in Saginaw, 54 for Flint. We're at 55 in Lapeer, 49 yet in Bad Axe. We're at 48 in Port Hope, and we have 50 degrees in Oscoda. We will find that these numbers are a little bit below average. That average typically is around 55. So we're just a little bit kind of behind for what we should be. But overall, the sunshine kind of still warming us up. We had a pretty chilly morning. I'll pull up some of those numbers here in my workspace because if you haven't turned the furnace on, you're definitely one of the braver ones because we've had quite a few cooler nights with a lot of our lows that have been in the 30s. And even last night, a lot of us dipped down into the 20s. So I'm going to assume that a lot of us have turned that furnace on. We did see that the low, though, in Saginaw was about 32. Otherwise, we were into the 20s. We did have 36, though, in Port Hope. But either way, a pretty chilly start to the day. So we're just kind of trying to rebound. We're using the sunshine to our advantage. But of course, we can only do so much considering we are headed into the cooler months of the year. If your turn to pick up the kids from school today, you are going to find that you have plenty of sunshine for after school pickup, or even if you're just going to be waiting at the bus stop to walk home with them. We'll have temperatures that are going to be into the low to mid 50s, that is. We got 53 for the 3 and 4 o'clock hours, 52 at 5 o'clock. We'll be looking at those northeast winds. So that has brought us a little bit of cloud cover coming off of the lake. I'll kind of zoom into our sky tracker here. And you can see that we haven't seen too much as far as those clouds, but kind of zooming in, a little bit of faint cloud coverage here coming across the thumb and then through the bay as well. So it hasn't really equated to a lot of cloud cover, and we're fine with that. We love the sunshine on a Monday, but we have found that it has been maybe a little bit not crystal clear skies like what we had on some of our cameras. Now, thankfully, we do have the sunshine here for you today and tomorrow. You are going to see that line, though, we just kind of ride that slope down here for the middle of the week. And by Thursday and Friday, we're back into these cloudy zones. So that means that we do have some rainfall by then. We are going to find a forecast that's a little bit damp, but also we are going to be seeing that the hurricane is going to have a little bit of play with our forecast. So we are keeping an eye to Hurricane Melissa. You're going to see that just located around Jamaica, just south of there. So it's about 145 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica. It is a Category 5 hurricane, very much strong. We're at the kind of the top level here with sustained winds at about 175 miles per hour, and then the gusts are around 200 miles per hour. So the folks in Jamaica, even though they don't have the center of the storm or the eye exactly over top of them, they're still seeing those outer bands that are coming through and making impacts as they are preparing for that storm to make landfall. You will see that it is going to head out towards the northeast, and it will weaken as it does. So we will still see that, though, as it heads just kind of east out into the Atlantic of the Carolinas, that it still will be about a Category 1 hurricane. So it's still going to have a lot of warm water here coming through the Caribbean, and that's going to allow it to kind of hold some of its strength. But I do kind of want to talk about here some of the plots. So actually, I first want to just give you a good look at the eye that we have. So this is a pretty good structure that we have for that hurricane eye. Of course, the storm itself has really just kind of been getting organized and brewing there. So I'm not surprised that we are seeing such strong winds sitting at that Category 5 level. But now as we kind of pull some of the plots, so these are just a bunch of weather models that are running, and they're going and pulling possibilities of where this storm could happen. So as we calculate that data, you're going to see that a lot of them keep that path coming out towards the northeast. So that's going to be keeping it just east of the United States. Though we do have that one lone model run that's going to try to bring it in west of Florida. That seems to be an outlier model. Not that we're going to ignore it necessarily, but that just doesn't seem to be the trend when we look at how all the other models are handling the situation and where they're taking the storm. So one thing to consider, though, is that with that storm headed out into the Atlantic and not even making landfall in the United States, it is still going to affect our forecast locally, because what's going to happen is you have this low pressure system. It's going to move further northeast. So once we have that coming up right around here, that means that anything west is going to run into that. So it's going to slow down the jet stream, kind of the flow of the atmosphere here for the weekend time frame into early next week. And also we'll have to see how quickly it can move along and if it has any play with any additional storms trying to kind of collide with it. So it definitely is going to be playing for us a big role in our forecast as we go later this week and into the weekend. It's kind of the main concern is that it would just be slowing down the flow. So we may find that it's just going to be a little bit slower, kind of plugs up the system for a little bit until we can finally get that moved out. So even though Hurricane Melissa not anticipated to make landfall in the United States, we are still going to be seeing that it disrupts the big picture, and that's going to be throwing off our forecast as we go into the weekend. So we will dive a little bit deeper into that forecast in just a little bit. We are going to be talking about the next 7 days and also a preview of that trick-or-treating forecast. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break and we'll be right back. And welcome back. So we are going to be talking about that forecast and taking a look at those conditions coming up. So as we kind of hop into the forecast, I do still have my radar up here. I'm still trying to get that Facebook to work for folks, but sorry, we're just not going to be there today. Technical difficulties. It seems like maybe Facebook is having a Monday. So we'll see if we can get that connected back up. But going into our forecast, we don't have any rain chances here for the start of the week, but we will be seeing those chances coming in on Thursday and Friday. So that is going to be a low pressure system that arrives before we even have that hurricane sitting out into the Atlantic. So that's going to be bringing us some rain chances. More on Friday, more isolated, at least lower. I know we have a lot of us that are going to be busy trick-or-treating. So we want to get that forecast on a drier note. Sadly, we do still have some rain. And of course, also I'm seeing a lot of lake effect in this forecast as we go through the next couple of days. So just something to kind of keep an eye to. Now, at least the good news is that if you already have a tree that has dropped all of its leaves, you have great weather here for the next 3 days. So today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. You don't have to worry about rain. They're not going to get wet. They're not going to get slimy and kind of soggy sitting around. And we will find that maybe the wind is going to kind of help to blow them into maybe one spot. We do have some breezier winds that are going to be coming out of the east and then the northeast by Wednesday that are going to be around 20, 25 miles per hour at times. So you may find that that might be a little bit helpful, but also it may hurt you depending on where those trees are located. So just keep in mind, and that it will be a little bit breezy, but at least the ground will be dry. So if you do try to pile them up and say, all right, I'm going to kind of get them all in one pile and then I'll take care of them towards the weekend, well, the wind might have something else to say. It might have your pile a little bit spread out coming out of the east. So you might see that going in maybe the opposite direction of what you were hoping for. But also the ground is dry, so that leaf blower will work. And also you won't have to have too much muscle on those arms to kind of get those rakes going either. So take advantage of the next couple of days. I know we're still kind of enjoying some peak color here, but we will find that if we do already need to clean up some leaves, we have some pretty good weather here the next couple of days. Now lows tonight, you may find that those leaves have frost if you're out there pretty early in the morning. We've been working through some frosty conditions and we still have another chilly night tonight. We will see here along 127 and kind of in our northern counties that we still have temperatures into the 20s tonight. And then we have those mid-30s kind of coming through the Tri-Cities thumb and along I-69 into Genesee County. So we will find that these lows are maybe a touch below average, not too far off though. So we are really no strangers at this point to the cooler nights. But again, if you're trying to hold off and not have that furnace going, you are going to see that it's definitely a little bit cooler for that. Now, speaking of cooler nights, I am going to have a preview of that Halloween forecast. So if you're going to be going trick-or-treating, we anticipate to see some 40s through there. We do have some isolated showers that we're watching. So it is going to be a cooler Halloween. Overall, it won't be snowing. So that's kind of the big win here in the forecast, is that we have had some pretty not so nice nights. We've had some scary nights, we could say, because of the snow that's been coming down at times. But thankfully, we don't have that. We'll just be watching for some lake effect showers. The low pressure system will be towards our east, but it'll kind of be throwing some rainfall back at us. So be prepared. It will be a brisk night. We will also find that our sunset is going to be at 6:27. So as you're driving around communities, just be mindful, of course, that it's going to get dark pretty early, and then that you will want to be watching out for a lot of our families that are going to be going door to door. So of course, we're going to be highlighting this here as we go throughout the week, watching for any small changes. But right now, still looks like a pretty decent night for families that are going to be going out and about. Now, also this weekend, we do have the time change. So you are going to have that reminder. 2 a.m. Sunday is when we will turn those clocks. They will go back. We're going to fall back here. So what that means is that we will gain an extra hour of sleep Saturday night. So a lot of us are going to be happy to see that. After maybe a Halloween party, we are going to have a little bit of extra recovery here. Another good thing, though, to kind of remember is that this is a good time to test smoke alarms, to test the carbon monoxide detectors in your home, maybe even change furnace filters. This is just a good time to kind of make sure everything that you don't typically check every day is still operational and functioning. So take this time here, use this weekend, use the time change as a good reminder to kind of set that and test those batteries in that smoke detector and make sure that it's all up and running. Also, that sunset is going to be a little bit earlier. By Sunday, our sunset is going to be at 5:25 p.m., but we at least kind of shift that hour a little bit closer to the morning. So our new sunrise time will be 7:12 a.m. as we go into Sunday morning. So that is going to be a little bit nice for the early risers to kind of get that time back, but we will find, of course, that we're kind of losing that daylight. The big takeaway, because I know a lot of you either really like the time change, well, of course, the time change itself is hard, but you either like saving time or just standard time. No matter which one you like, I think all of us can agree here coming into the winter months is we just don't get simply enough daylight. It doesn't matter when we get it. We just don't get enough of it. And so we, of course, just want everybody to kind of be patient, take care of yourselves here. Of course, even on Monday, you might have some folks that are still kind of thrown off a little bit with the time change. So just be a little bit patient. Now, even talking Halloween and the time change, just kind of a reminder that still there's plenty of holidays that are still coming up. Of course, we're only 4 days if you still have to get that costume picked out. And then, of course, the time change is this weekend, but we are still about a month away from Thanksgiving. We got 31 days until that holiday rolls around. And then also Matthew, he's kind of keeping account here for folks who want to do some snowmobiling. The trails will open in 35 days. So if that is something that you're looking into, hopefully we have some snow then for you 35 days from now. But if you're not maybe a snow fan, you can kind of hold on that one. But just kind of some fun thoughts here as we go a little bit later on into a quiet forecast here for the start of the week. But let's pull up that 7-day You are going to see that we have the sunshine, mostly sunny skies here, even for Tuesday and Wednesday, but we will see that we have those rain chances coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's a little more isolated just because this is where we're going to be watching to see how Hurricane Melissa plays with the forecast, but also to see where that low pressure system is, and also our air direction for our wind is going to be a big determination. So if we need to kind of change some of these percentages, just keep in mind that there is some room for change because of the hurricane and also the low positioning. So there's still a lot to watch. Even the rain chances that we have on Thursday, a lot of them are eastward just because of the position of the low. So we are going to find that the hurricane is really going to kind of be in the driver's seat here for the rest of this week and for the weekend. So if you do have some trick-or-treating in mind, or even if you have maybe a Halloween party Saturday night, we of course want you to keep an eye to the forecast for the rainfall chances. Also, highs typically in the low to mid 50s here for this week, so maybe just a touch below that average. But as we go into the weekend, you will see that we have highs into the 40s, so a little bit of a cooler spell going into November. It is going to finally feel like the season outside, and even a lot of our overnight lows are going to be into the mid 30s, so this kind of means that we are going to be running that furnace and setting up for the cooler conditions. So just be prepared that we are going to find the overall our weather becoming just a little bit cooler. Of course, we're losing that daylight. We're just kind of settling in for some November weather. Now, of course, if you do want to replay, I know I had already mentioned, but you can do that on the WNEM YouTube page. It's going to be the spot for that for today's stream. We will be back here tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be back on all platforms. You can find us, though, at WNEM.com and also on the WNEM YouTube and Facebook pages. And if you have Roku or Fire Stick, you can also connect with TV5 there, so you can stream us. And also Android and Apple TV, we're also hanging out there as well. So there's plenty of ways to connect with us here at TV5. So hopefully you are connecting with us so that we can hang out with you there. But we will be back with TV5 News at 4 p.m. I know Colette, she's already kind of working on some of those stories that we have. And of course, I have a forecast to put together. So make sure you tune in. We'll see you later on today on our Over the Air channel at 4 o'clock.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.